Hey everyone, this is Chase at Rocky Mountain ATV, and today we're going to share with you our top 5 tips on how to shift your dirt bike on a motocross track. All right everyone, thanks for checking in. We got another good top 5 for you today. We want to talk about shifting, when you should be upshifting and downshifting on a track, and some tips and tricks to help you be more efficient and to shave some time off your lap times, which that's something that we all want. So tip number 1 is upshifting when you're accelerating at the right time and not downshifting at the wrong time. When you're accelerating on a dirt bike, doesn't matter if it's a 450, 250, a 2-stroke, you want to make sure that you're upshifting when you're in the meat of the power. If you upshift too early, your bike's going to bog down, you lose power, and then to get that back, you have to dab the clutch a little bit to build up the RPMs, which oftentimes is going to cost you a lot of time. But you also don't want to shift too late. Now, I know when you hit the rev limiter, we feel like heroes because we feel like we're just on the gas being super aggressive. But you got to remember, when bikes hit a rev limiter, they've stopped building power at that point, and a lot of times they fall off and you start to lose your speed. So you want to make sure that you're shifting at the right time to where you're continuing to get power to the engine, and that's getting power to the wheel. So really try and focus on that. So tip number 2 is you do not need to pull in the clutch when you downshift. On a track, chances are when you're downshifting, because you're coming into a corner and you want to use the engine brake and help slow you down. And it's especially true if you're going down a hill. You can pull in the clutch if you want to downshift, but especially on a hill, chances are you're going to speed up when you pull in the clutch, and that's what you don't want. And when you're coming into a corner and you want to use the engine brake and slow you down, if you pull in that clutch even for a split second, you're going to start coasting and you're not going to slow down as fast. So all you got to do is just reach forward with your toe while you're still squeezing the bike and give a downshift. Just make sure though that you're not accelerating while you're trying to downshift. That's going to be harmful for your transmission. But as long as you're off the gas, you can downshift. You don't have to pull in the clutch. And when you're upshifting, just pull in the clutch a little bit, give the clutch a little stab, get your upshift, and away you go. So that'd be tip number 2, is if you are downshifting, you don't need to pull in the clutch to do that. Tip number 3 is either up or downshifting in the air off a jump. One of the best ways to save time and to save energy is get your shifts done early. If you're coming off a jump and you know that if you got an inside turn coming right up, downshift to 2nd gear in the air, or downshift to 3rd, whatever it might be. That way, as soon as you land, you can set up and you can be ready for that turn. It's one less step that you have to make once you're already on the ground, and you don't have to think about that. So maybe you want to upshift in the air. If you're coming out of a turn, tight turn, you hit a jump, and you know you've got a long straight right after that, you can get your upshift. You can go up 2 gears if you need to, or if you got a longer jump right after that. So be thinking about those things. What's coming up next? And maybe it's not coming off a jump where you need to up or downshift. Maybe it's going through a smoother corner like we have up here around this tree, where I know that I've got a longer straight and I'm going to need to be in a gear taller. Maybe get your upshift right as you're entering the corner, if your bike has enough power to pull you out of it. That way you've already got your shift, you can focus on acceleration and getting to the next point on the track. So tip number 4 is do not lift your foot off the foot peg to up or downshift. We've talked about this a lot. You always want to be squeezing the motorcycle. That's going to give you more control. A common mistake that riders make is when they go to up or downshift is they relax a little bit, they get a little bit bow-legged, and they take their foot completely off the foot peg to up or downshift. You don't need to do that. If you're downshifting, you can lean back a little bit, or upshifting, I mean, you can lean back a little bit, get your toe underneath there. If you're downshifting, you can still squeeze the motorcycle while creeping your toe a little bit forward and get that downshift. So just focus on that. When you're downshifting, upshifting, remember to always be squeezing the bike. So tip number 5 is don't downshift too early. And what I'm really referring to is if you're going down a long straight and you've got big braking bumps, or if you're going down a hill that's got big braking bumps, a lot of riders will want to use the engine braking to slow them down. This is especially true on downhills that have big bumps. I've raced the Vet Nationals at Glen Helen. You have never seen bumps so big on a giant downhill. I'm talking ski moguls all the way down. And a lot of riders, what they'll tend to do is they'll downshift into 1st or 2nd gear to help slow them down as they're going down those big bumps. But here's the issue with that. We kind of talked about it. When you downshift, you've got higher RPMs in the engine, which loads the front end, which packs the forks, which can make it feel harsh. And also, when you have a lot of engine braking, you do make the suspension feel stiffer. It won't feel as good. It'll feel a little bit more harsh. If you can stay in a taller gear, say third or fourth gear, especially on downhills, that's gonna free up the chassis. It's gonna help your suspension feel better. Your bike will stay more level. If you're in a lower gear, you've got the high RPM, you hit a kicker, it's probably gonna buck you more over the bars than you would if you were in third or fourth gear. So try staying in that taller gear until you get to the bottom of the hill, then get your downshift as you're ready to make your way through the turn. Now, if you're going down a straightaway and you've got big bumps as you're coming into a corner, try and stay in that taller gear a little bit later for the same reasons that we just talked about. If you downshift too early, you load the front end, you get those kicks from the rear end are gonna be exaggerated, your front forks start to pack, starts to feel harsh, it's not a good thing. So try staying in that taller gear and wait to get your downshift a little bit later coming up towards the turn. So there you have it, everyone. Those are our top 5 tips for shifting on a motocross track. What do you guys think? Did you like these tips? Do you have other tips that you would suggest? Let us know what those are. That's gonna really help other riders out that are looking to improve their technique, be a better rider every time you go out on the track. So leave us your comments and your feedback. We really wanna hear that stuff. If you guys like this top 5, we got a lot more great instructional videos just like it. So make sure get subscribed to the Rocky Mountain YouTube channel, hit that notification bell and stay up to date. I'm Chase, and we'll see you on the trails.